Welcome back to Travoltine Presents Easy Riders. Hosted by Jeff Sweeney and Stuart Elmore. Covering When Love Is Not Enough, the Lois Wilson story.
Dear Lord, dear God, may my aim be true. May I serve you in everything that I do?
I forgot to say enjoy the episode at the very end of the intro, but I think it's okay because you will not enjoy this episode. What was that?
That was me accidentally opening a clip from Battlefield Earth.
We are starting this so fucking sweaty.
Oh my God, no, oh God. Anybody, so you restarted the intro music.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
If that seemed crazy, chaotic, and destructive, then hi, folks.
Yeah, and here
we'd like to talk to you about the destructive nature of alcoholism.
Yes. This is actually an intervention.
This is actually an intervention.
So your family hired us via Cameo to record this special episode.
Just for you.
Listener in your car.
Listener. Tim.
Tim, yes, this is for you. Your family was very concerned about your destructive habits, and they asked us to record an episode, intervene. No, this is an episode about the movie When Love Is Not Enough, which is about alcoholism. In fact, it's about the founding of not the Alcoholics Anonymous. It's about the founding of Al-Anon, which is like the support group for the like family members of alcoholics.
Yeah. Whoa. This is different then. I thought this was about Alcoholics Anonymous.
Well, it adjacently is.
Okay.
It depends. If you count this, who do you think the main character of this movie is?
Oh, okay. So Barry Pepper finds Anonymous.
Barry Pepper founds Alcoholics Anonymous.
And Winona Ryder finds Al-Anon.
The support group for like family members.
Okay, so this is about Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yes.
And Al-Anon.
Yes.
Because are we going to ask the question who's the main character in this movie is?
It's Winona.
Yes.
Anyway, the whole reason I was trying to do a Barry Pepper intro.
I'm back from the war and I want to get me some good drinking.
Give me some drink. No, that's why I started doing his Saving Private Ryan. Like, may my aim be true.
Lord is my shepherd.
Lord is my shepherd. I shall not miss. That's why the Battlefield Earth music started playing, because I was trying to find a quote of his from Battlefield Earth. I feel like we talked about Barry Pepper on this podcast more than most people have ever thought about Barry Pepper.
That's fair.
We've only talked about like 2 movies that he's been in.
But that's more than
But weirdly, I feel like we have talked about Barry Pepper in episodes that he is not in.
It's that meme where it's like if I had a nickel for every time I had to talk about a Barry Pepper movie, I'd have 2 nickels. But isn't it weird that I have 2 nickels?
Isn't it weird that it happened twice?
This is now our second Barry Pepper.
I believe it's our second Barry Pepper. I'm going to confirm this ironclad right now.
I'm pretty sure it is our second Barry Pepper, because it was Battlefield Earth, and then he hasn't been in anything Brendan Fraser was in.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think they've shared a movie together. Not yet, at least.
I've pulled up Barry Pepper's filmography, ranked by movies that I've seen. Okay, yeah. So the only Barry Peppers we've talked about have been... Oh, no! There was a third Barry Pepper.
There was a third?
Stuart.
What did we talk about?
We've talked about Battlefield Earth. We've talked about When Love Is Not Enough. We've talked about Magnificent Desolation. Walking on the Moon. 3D IMAX.
No. You're fucking joking.
A movie I almost watched yesterday.
Why did you almost watch it yesterday?
Yesterday was the 55th anniversary of the moon landing, and I decided to have myself a little moon landing marathon.
That's good.
Because like it was my first, a nice little weekend.
Yeah.
Veg out for a bit. I watched, what was that? For All Mankind. It's a documentary from the 80s. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Incredible. Mm-hmm. It's all like 16 millimeter footage from the Apollo missions.
Yeah.
Perfect movie. I watched Fly Me to the Moon, the new Scarlett Johansson movie that's in theaters. Barry Pepper's not in that one.
Oh.
Nor is he in For All Mankind. But it was a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched First Man, Ryan Gosling, which we've talked about on the show before.
We have.
Pretty good. Hadn't seen it before.
You hadn't seen it before?
I had not seen First Man.
Interesting. So you only watch moon landings that are the Apollo 11 moon landing movies.
Yeah. Well,
you did not watch Apollo 13.
No. So
you did not watch Apollo 18.
So here's what I'm doing next year.
You did not watch Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
So Stuart, here's what I'm doing next year. Next year, I've decided I'm going to watch the Apollo movies. It's Apollo 10 and a half. the Richard Linklater animated movie about a boy growing up in the suburbs of Houston where the moon landing is happening.
Great.
I'm going to watch Apollo 11, the documentary about Apollo 11. I'm going to watch Apollo 13, the movie about Tom Hanks getting stuck in space. I'm going to watch Apollo 18, the horror movie about the fucking alien on the moon. I'm going to watch them all one day. The Apollo Marathon, baby. None of those movies have anything in fucking common with each other.
No, they don't. That's great.
That's next year's agenda. But no, Barry Pepper was not any of those movies. I did think if I had enough time, I was going to put Magnificent Desolation on just for the bit. Did not work out. But this is our third Barry Pepper, is where this is all building back to. And this is a Hallmark movie, which I want to talk about. Stuart, how many Hallmark movies have you seen? Are you like a Hallmark movie person?
I feel like I've worked on a Hallmark movie.
You probably have worked on a Hallmark movie.
Like are Hallmark adjacent.
You've worked on movies that are like Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
But like this is like an honest to God Hallmark.
This is honest to God Hallmark.
Yes. And here's the thing about Hallmark movies. They get a bad rap.
But they're actually.
The thing about Hallmark movies is they're all like kind of basically watchable.
It's an interesting adjective to use.
No, like a movie like this, or like I'm trying to think of like an example of a specific Hallmark movie. But the thing is, like, you don't remember them or the titles.
I was gonna say, like, I think the point you're making is they're not memorable one way or the other.
Yeah, but they're all like pleasant enough that if you are at home and you're flipping through the channels and you catch one, you can watch it, not be upset that you watched it, and then it just kind of like would leave your brain after the fact. Hallmark is like the perfect watchable. It's like a cop show. It's a cop show of movies. Where like if you flip on, you're probably not gonna remember what happened in this episode of like I don't want to say original Law and Order. Probably not gonna remember what's going on in that episode. But like it's watchable. It follows a pattern. It's like pleasurable enough. Nothing offensive happens. The acting is like at a baseline. And you can like just sit there and like, okay, that's nice. 5 out of 10. They make like Hallmark is like 4 to 6 out of 10 is where it operates. It doesn't operate in your like 3 or to 1. They're never that bad, but they're never better than a 6. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Where would you rank When Love Is Not Enough?
Love Is Enough is like a 5 for me.
I was gonna say a 5.
Yeah,
for me too. Credence to the actors. That's really what it is. I actually think Winona Ryder is really good.
Yeah,
and I think Barry Pepper's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think the two of them are quite good in this.
They have they have some really, really good scenes together in this movie.
This is Winona's first, I think, nomination.
She's nominated off of this
for a Screen Actors Guild Award.
Oh no shit!
I think this is her first nomination we've talked about in a while.
No shit.
And it's like not that
you're fucking me.
Yeah, she gets nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award for this for best female actor in a miniseries or TV movie.
It is a bit shameful that this got an Emmy nomination for music composition. Did you listen to the music composition?
Yeah, that was a little baffling.
That's a little baffling. Yeah, it gets nominated for Emmy for music, and then I'm looking for a Screen Actor. Oh yeah, Screen Actors Guild nominee, outstanding performance by a female actor in a television movie or miniseries. Yeah.
Prior to this,
who won? Who won in 2011?
Yeah, prior to this, the last time she had been nominated for an award, she got nominated for a Razzie and a Teen Choice Awards for Mr. Deeds, and then it had not been anything for 8 years until this. We are discounting that she got like a producer's nomination for an episode of a documentary as an Emmy called The Day My God Died in 2003. We're not counting that. This is like acting nominations.
We're not.
And she had previously been nominated for... The last time she got a good nomination as an actress was... She got a Saturn Award nomination for Alien Resurrection. The Saturns are like science fiction awards, but they count.
Claire Danes won in 2011 for Temple Grandin, HBO.
Have never heard of it.
Have never heard of it either.
Great. It is a little funny that a March sister beat the other March sister. It's a little rude.
Wait, was it what?
One of the March sisters from Little Women beat the other March sister.
Yeah, sorry. It took me a while.
Yeah, the one who died. She came back from the grave with a vengeance, and she took the trophy.
Yeah, three of the nominations are all Temple Grandin.
I thought you were going to hit me with like all of them were the Little Women girls.
Well, there's Julia Ormond from Temple Grandin, Catherine O'Hara for Temple Grandin, then Winona Ryder for When Love Is Not Enough, then Susan Sarandon for You Don't Know Jack.
Oh my God, that's 3 Little Women cast members. That's Claire Danes, Winona Ryder, and Susan Sarandon.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that is a bit crazy.
Where's God, who played the other sisters? Trina Alvarado and Samantha Mathis. Where are they at?
Dead.
They should have been in that category.
They should have.
Boot. So,
Isn't it weird that
Catherine O'Hara? I love you. Get the fuck out of there. Let's get Samantha Mathis in there.
It is interesting how like the Little Women become little because now they're getting SAG nominations for outstanding performances in TV movies.
Yeah.
I think that's a statement on its own, but whatever.
Why can't the women be big now?
Why can't the women be big? It's 2024. Let the women be big.
This is 2010. Billy Crystal. There's not a little women. There's a lot of women.
Anyway, so this is gonna be a short episode, mainly because like, there's
only like so much we can talk about with this movie, I think, right?
Well, because like, what the audience can, without even watching this movie, when we tell the audience, folks, this is about the making of Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon. What do you think happens in this movie? You're right. A man becomes an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happens in the movie. Like,
wait, did Angelica watch this movie with you?
No.
Pause the recording. All right, we brought Angelica Rosa on, former guest of the show, housemate of Stuart Elmore. Angelica, this movie is about the founding of Alcoholics Anonymous. What do you think the plot of this movie is? Take me from A to C. What do you think it's about?
About Alcoholics Anonymous?
Yeah, it's about the founding of Alcoholics Anonymous. How do you think the plot goes?
Well, I'm assuming the Winona Ryder movie is either she's the alcoholic or someone.
It's about her and her husband.
Okay, so her husband is the alcoholic because everyone knows only men can be alcoholics at this point. Because women.
It's actually a good point that this movie does sort of make.
Remember, women only have the occasional glass of wife juice. But that's it. So I'm going to guess her husband is an alcoholic. Maybe he becomes, I don't know, abusive or something. Things start escalating. And she's like, my dude, you got to fix yourself. And so he decides that he wants to find a community that exactly what he's going through. So
Did you look this up? You looked this up. You looked this up. This is too perfect.
Share their experiences together in almost bro heaven. Where then he is able to come back to his wife and say, I'm sorry, my name is so-and-so, and I am an alcoholic. And then the movie ends.
See, that would have been a better ending. And unfortunately, it does not end that way. But you get everything else right. That was really good.
I gave it a happy ending because I overheard Hallmark. So Hallmark is notoriously just constantly like, oh, something sad happened. But it's okay.
It's okay.
There's a puppy in the end.
It does do the classic like biopic fade to black, and here's a text of where they are today, and it ends with like they loved each other. They loved each other for the rest of their lives. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So what's the ending?
Just that.
He does. It's this.
They loved each other till the end of their.
It's like they do get back together, but it doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the incredible ending that you pitched of him saying, "I am an alcoholic." Like that would have been like.
That would have been a great ending.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
You gotta do the high.
My name is.
Yeah, they weirdly don't do that in the movie.
They don't do that in the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe they thought that would have been a little too like contrived, but
Yeah.
like I think that would have been a good like ending staple note
Yeah.
of the movie of just whether it's Barry Pepper's role or somebody else being like, that's why I'm here to introduce myself as so and so, and I'm an alcoholic. Cut to black and like,
Good.
and that's where you get the biopic fade to fade in text. But no, actually, that was like you got like 8 out of the 10 things.
That was actually perfect. That was exactly what I
When
wanted.
you said like he wants to find a community and they form like a bro huddle to talk about their problems, like literally they make a statement in the movie that it is just like a bro huddle. Because they host it at their house is the thing.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. The one
Does he get kicked out of the house, or does she leave the house?
No, what happens is that it's also the finding of Al-Anon, which I didn't tell you this last night when I watched it. That
Tell me what, that you're a part of Al-Anon?
no, because Alcoholics Anonymous is different from Al-Anon, and like I didn't real.
Sounds like a conspiracy theory.
It does, right? It sounds like QAnon, but it's Al-Anon.
Al-Anon is the support group for the family members of alcoholics.
And the
I
movie-
didn't.
So
I
then as they're doing the bro huddle, she's like, I should have my own huddle.
That's actually
with
exactly what fucking happens.
with
And in a separate
The-
room with the wives.
with the wives.
Yeah.
Yes,
Only men can have alcoholism.
yes.
All
That
the-
is essentially like a viewpoint. This movie kind of.
There is the part where like Winona's like, I'm gonna start drinking if you won't stop drinking, and she takes like a sip of.
And then she doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Wine, isn't it?
No, it's like she does
it's
grab
whis-
like it's like a
whiskey,
vodka or something.
whiskey or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because mine can only be alcoholics with like whiskey.
It is kind of crazy how like these movies are.
It's always a whiskey. You got to
Yeah.
put down the whiskey, Fred. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't. A whiskey's my best
It's
friend.
like no, like the actual functioning alcoholic in society, I feel like just has like a 6-pack of beer every day.
Yeah.
That's like kind of the. I don't think like you see.
You know, like the modern day alcoholic.
well, yeah, I guess this
functioning
is like
alcoholic.
past, but
Yeah. Because I mean, there's the classic, like you have a flask in
Yeah.
your like your suit jacket that we all wear every day.
And it's the bottle in
the paper bag. I've been thinking about becoming one of those guys who carries a flask around, but it has like something completely non-alcoholic, and it's like orange juice or something.
You
And I'm
just
just like,
pour it in all your drinks.
yeah. And everyone's like, Jeff, are you okay? And I'm like, I just really like all right orange, my
that's
juice.
gonna be fun after having that HR.
Yeah, that HR meeting will go over very well.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
have housemates.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, come
Stuart,
on.
let's bust the whiskey out now that Angelica's heading out.
Whatever. All right, I'm gonna cut it.
Yeah, fine. Thank you, Angelica.
Thank you, Angelica. Yeah, she got like 8 or now actually 9 out of the 10 things, really.
Yeah.
But that's the thing of this movie. It's like we can tell you it's like it's about the finding of Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon. What do you think
Yeah.
this movie's about?
Yeah.
And you can guess 8 of the 10 things that happens.
And
Ba-
like Stuart, you said this, but like Winona and Barry Pepper are doing like nice work in this
They're
movie.
doing some nice work in this movie. There's a scene particularly that I'm just going to say it right now because just to emphasize it. It's like Winona says like they're getting this. They have many arguing scenes. There's a few of them, but there's one in particular when Winona says a line. It's like, you know, every time I wonder where you are and you can't do the decency of dying. And it's like, oh, so like it was like a great performance bit from both of them. And like, so yeah, all that to be said, like it's a Hallmark movie. It's made for probably a pretty small budget.
Yeah.
It's not got the best supporting cast surrounding Barry Pepper and Winona Ryder.
There are some adjacent guys in this movie who are a bit questionable.
And like and like the cinematography isn't like made with the best, you know, potato cameras. Some of them are more moldy potato cameras. But like all that to be said, like there's some pretty good bits.
Yeah. Nice acting with the two of them. And I think there's I'm looking at my notes. I did not realize at the start that this was about the founding of Alcoholics Anonymous. Like I didn't look that up in advance to watching this movie.
I suppose that's one way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I get like a little bit into this movie.
Yeah.
And then I just clock it and I'm like, holy shit, this movie's about the founding of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the rest of the plot, like it's like, you know, that cartoon where they're on the train and they're laying the track out in front of the train. That's
Yeah.
me like figuring out, you know, the rest of the movie
Yeah.
from that point. I for some reason wrote a note, she sniffa the bread.
Bread.
There's like a part where Winona's like
right.
walking down the street and there's like a bread monger, just like hawking his wares, bread.
Do you like?
And she like takes the bread and just sniffs it. She sniffa the bread. I wrote, he drinks too much. Why did I write that?
He drinks.
Why
too
did I
much.
write that?
Do you remember watching this movie?
Yeah, I did. And then he wrote the thing about home. I I just said he wrote. I wrote. The thing about Hallmark movies is that they're deeply watchable. They don't aspire to be anything beyond being easily digestible and pleasant. Like that is kind of this movie's easily digestible.
Yeah.
Hey, like the bread, little birdie?
Oh my god.
You like the bread?
I fucking love this bread.
Oh my god, did Long Legs get on this episode? Is Long Legs here?
You mentioned Winona sniffing bread. And so. Did you watch Long Legs?
I did watch Long Legs.
Is it good?
It's good.
Oh.
It has like it's like I think 7 out of 10 is what I think about it. It has some problems, but it has big like you're going to bed in high school and you're up late. Your parents don't know. You're in your dark room. You're scrolling Reddit and you're reading creepy stories online. Your air conditioner's running. And you can't tell if you're hearing a noise that's just the air conditioner or if there's something else in your room that you're hearing. It has that kind of energy. Like you're reading a story about like serial killing that happened in 1972 online.
Huh.
You know the energy I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know. I'm just trying to think. How is that in a movie?
When you you're watching the movie, that's the headspace it puts you in.
Okay.
It's very successful at that, I think.
Okay. Okay.
But there I have some problems with the plotting.
Got it.
Yeah, it's good.
This is a horror movie in its own different right.
The horrors of alcohol.
The horrors of alcoholism.
Which I like. I shouldn't make fun of it. It's like a serious thing, but at the same time, it's like.
But this
You know where this movie's going.
The thing is, though, it's like I feel like again, as we all pointed out, it's like alcoholism has definitely evolved since what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about that. It's like to make a movie about alcoholism, especially one from like the 1940s,
I feel like
1930s.
this is in the 30s because prohibition's ongoing.
Oh right.
But I do think that, and he comes back from World War I at the beginning of the movie.
God.
Like he's kind of rattled from World War I, which is what kickstarts his alcoholism in the 20s.
Okay. Got it.
And like I kind of think that when you talk about alcoholism and like it changing from then to today, is like back then I feel like most people were kind of like moderate functional alcoholics.
Yeah.
Like
I
almost
was gonna say, yeah.
And nowadays we're much more like cognizant of the dangers of alcohol.
Yeah.
And like within like you watch a movie from like 1965 even. Every scene the guy walks in with a cigarette and drinks 3 whiskeys and then just goes and gets in a car and drives to the next place.
Yeah.
And that was like that's just kind of the culture. Like,
That's just the culture.
Yeah,
That's just
that
how
was
it goes.
normal.
Yeah.
nowadays that would basically be considered an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So I think like we have, for the better as a society, like contextualized this stuff and kind of lowered our standard or
Right.
heightened our standards of alcoholism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, you know, does mean that when you watch a movie like this, for someone to be an alcoholic, they have to be like drinking a whole bottle of whiskey every day.
Yeah, it's like this is like the hard extreme end of belligerent alcoholism.
Yes.
That like for in a younger audience would almost kind of think of it as like borderline goofy.
Yeah, it's like kind of it's like the stereotypical alcoholic.
It's a very stereotypical
but like
stereotypized version of what people think of an alcoholic.
But in like 1935, it's like you didn't have like a can of beer that you're gonna like get a 6-pack at the 7-Eleven.
Right. It's like we don't see like the overweight dude in his recliner wearing the wife beater and the shame glaze over his hairy chest, throwing his beer at his 9-year-old, telling
Reba
him
shirt.
telling him to get his beer out of the fridge, get him another beer. It's like that's like obviously like the different type that people are used to in Hollywood culture as well. I'm trying to think of a movie I watched that like does a really good job of like, because I guess like when was the last time you watched a movie where alcoholism, becoming an alcoholic was like the story?
Flight. Or A Star
The
is
Denzel
Born.
Washington
Yeah,
movie?
this Denzel's movie Flight or A Star is Born, the Bradley Cooper movie. Those are two movies that are like
This is about alcoholism.
they're both very stereotypical alcohol, or not. I'm sorry, not stereotypical. They're both like modern movies about alcoholism.
Yeah.
They're both very good.
Yeah. I would agree.
I'd say A Star is Born is probably great. Is like the best modern
I
example.
think so, like the Bradley Cooper one.
Yeah, the Bradley Cooper one.
I think all the Stars Born movies do a really good job. Like even the Judy Garland one was actually really good. But yeah, I agree. The Bradley Cooper one, like, you know, like the scene where he like pisses himself in like the Grammy Awards.
Yeah.
Like again, could easily be done in like a cheesy, corny, alcoholic way. But like, I feel like you watch that scene in that movie and you're just like sad for everybody involved in the situation. You're
like the
oh
thing
my
in that
God.
movie is he doesn't like he is walking around with the bottle during some scenes.
Yeah.
But like he kind of plays as like you can never really tell when he's sober or when he's drunk.
Which is the real alcoholic.
Yeah.
I think that's the key thing. You can tell in this movie when Barry Pepper is drunk or when he is sober.
Yeah.
And I feel like real world experiences, people who've actually struggled with
Alcoholics
alcohol,
get very good at hiding their that they're
and it's very
slosh.
hard to detect when they're drunk or not, when they're intoxicated or not is the key question. Because people are drunk or people who are intoxicated can act differently versus when they're drunk. It means two different things. And so, yeah, I agree. The movies that make you have to like really lean in and guess, like, are they drunk right now? Like, have they been drinking? Like, and Flight does a pretty good job of that too.
Flight's good.
But you get my point though. It's like, it's a story about like a bigger, grander concept and it's around alcoholism.
Yes.
Whereas like this is a story about alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like, that makes it a challenging story to tell, I think.
Yeah, because like it's to add some context to the story Angelica correctly guessed. It's basically like Barry Pepper Winona's playing Lois Burnham at the start. She's a member of an affluent family. She falls in love with this man, Bill Wilson, Barry Pepper, who's like more of a modest guy. He's in World War I. He comes back and the two of them get married. Her family's like not sold on him because they're like, well, he's not from like the upper echelon like we are. He's not from the age of innocence.
Yeah.
And so Bill struggles to find a job while Lois works as a nurse. They're trying to have kids, but she keeps miscarrying. She believes that like there's greatness within him that he can achieve, but he starts really like hitting the bottle when things aren't working out. He's getting fired from jobs, and it creates this like vicious cycle of he gets fired from a job, so he drinks more, and then he gets fired from the next job because he's drinking.
Yeah.
Eventually, Bill kind of starts figuring it out. He gets a job on Wall Street in 1927.
Yeah.
It's like you can see where this is going.
Yeah, you could see where this is going.
And
Wolf of Wall Street. That's another one.
he's like Wolf of Wall Streeting it up.
Yeah.
And they're living in her family's like New York City beautiful home.
Yeah.
And then you can correctly guess that the fucking financial collapse of 1928 happens.
Yeah.
The Great Depression starts.
Yeah.
And Bill's alcoholism spirals out of control. They lose everything more or less except for the house.
Yeah.
Because it's her family's home. There's like she keeps losing babies too. She has like 3 miscarriages in the movie.
I
Right?
think she has like at least 2, but I think 3. Yeah.
The big like he takes her to Niagara Falls is like, let's just get away. Let's just go to Niagara Falls, see the waterfall, which we never see in the movie.
Yeah. No.
This is my thing. If we're gonna go to Niagara Falls in a movie, you gotta show us Niagara Falls, right?
you would
You
think.
can't just like go to some town and say this is Niagara Falls.
Well, is this during the period Niagara Falls is under construction?
Get the fuck out of here. Like, here's my thing. Just say you're going to like, I don't know, Buffalo, New York or something. If you're going to just use a little dinky town.
Buffalo, New York, a little dinky town.
Like, he's just like, let's go to Buffalo or something. I don't know. Don't say we're going to Niagara Falls. And then you're watching the movie and they go to a town. Just and with like a sign that says Niagara Falls, don't fall in. With like a shop that's barrel storage for all those guys who are in the barrels going over Niagara. Have you ever seen a guy in a barrel go over Niagara Falls? I've been there twice. Haven't seen it. I'm a little disappointed.
The barrel?
Yeah, I feel like, culturally we all associate that Niagara Falls involves a guy in a barrel going over the sign. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Been there twice. Never seen a guy in a barrel go over. A little disappointed.
Oh.
Yeah, like
You're making a bit. You're making a joke.
I kind of want to go to Niagara Falls and I want to see like some dude with a big ass mustache and a monocle in a barrel go oh, ho, ho, as he goes over the side.
Right. And
What are we doing?
survives.
Yeah, of course he survives.
Yeah.
He comes out perfectly fine at the bottom. He's not even wet.
Yeah. Also, Niagara Falls was drained in 1969.
Drained?
Yeah.
Oh, for the
Because they had
the tourism shit they added in.
Well, no, it's like they dumped 28,000 tons of rock fill into a cofferdam upstream the falls to divert the flow of Niagara Fall away from American Falls and towards the much larger Horseshoe Falls. So they had to they literally drained Niagara Falls to like divert the water somewhere.
That makes sense.
So that's why I asked, like, was it under construction at the time? Because technically, Niagara Falls was at one point under construction. And let that be a lesson for you, American children, that if you think there are some things that can never go under construction, you are wrong. You are fucking wrong. Nothing is immune from going under construction. Not even our national parks in our society.
Niagara Falls is funny because like one side is like incredibly built up. I mean, both sides of it are built up.
Yeah.
But one side has like a giant like hotel, and the other side has like a little bit of nature before you hit the hotels.
Yeah.
Enough about Niagara Falls. I'm just disappointed that this movie chickened out and didn't pay for the permit to just have a camera point at Niagara Falls.
Instead, they just showed Barry Pepper drunk.
Yeah, they go to Niagara Falls and they're driving around, and there's the car like runs out of gas or something.
Yeah.
And Barry Pepper's like, I'm gonna go get help. And he wanders off, and then like 2 hours go by, and Winona's shivering in the car. And she's like, I'm gonna go find him. And so she goes in pursuit of him, and he like stumbles out of a bar. He stumbles out of a bar, and she's like,
You piece of shit.
no, she hits,
You motherfucker.
and she's like, just go back to the car. And she like drags him back to the car. And then he hits her with the craziest line I've ever heard in my life. I'm sick and tired of your haranguing, tanging, and your peckerwalling. Oh God! Oh, she should have left his ass right there. you hit me. You hit her with too much haranguing, tanging, and peckerwalling. Like,
You might as well call for divorce right there.
big energy of writer like Googled what were insults in 1927. It goes like peckerwalling and haranguing, tanging. He's like, I'll put those in the script. Open up Final Draft, put them in.
Here's my yellow draft.
But like that's like kind of the final straw. And then the actual final straw is they try and adopt a kid because they can't have a kid. And their friend tells the adoption agency, don't adopt them. He's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And that is like the final, like Winona's getting ready to leave him.
Did they have the description of alcoholic back then?
I would assume they did.
You think so?
I am on
Let's
the
Google
Wikipedia page for
when
alcoholism.
Did the term alcoholic, when was the term alcoholic?
The term alcoholism was first coined in 1852.
Oh, I have it 1700s.
Interesting. Maybe the concept of alcoholism
Oh, you
existed
know
in the
what?
1700s.
I think 1800 is when the chemical of alcohol was discovered, but alcoholic in terms of like the alcoholism, you're right. It was 1852.
This is like no.
No, you're right. All right, 1852. So yeah, they would have known what an alcoholic was at this time.
Yes. And so he like Bill is like trying to manage his disease, and Winona leaves him for a spell,
like
like a little bit.
a short bit.
And he goes and he finds another alcoholic named Dr. Bob Smith, and the two of them talk to each other. And through their like combined support and, you know, keeping each other honest, they manage to get sober. Mm-hmm. And they form Alcoholics Anonymous, where they just start having more and more people by. Bill uses their home as the Alcoholics Anonymous HQ, basically. And just a bunch of like drunks start showing up in Winona's living room. But she's like very supportive of this and, you know, brings food and whatnot, helps tend to it. But she starts feeling a bit neglected. Like he's more focused on this organization and the sobriety for all these men instead of his wife. Mm-hmm. So she's like, she goes outside and sees all the other wives just sitting in their cars waiting for their husbands to come out from the meeting.
Yeah.
And she's like, come inside. Let's go. Everyone inside.
And they all get out of their cars and they all go inside.
And all the men are like, oh, why's my wife coming in here?
They're going to start gossiping about us. They do each say like good lines where it's like, I can't believe they're in there having a good time. It's like, it's just their way of healing.
Yeah.
And that, like, because that's what Winona says about the men. But Barry Pepper also says the same thing about the women. He's like, they're just trying to heal from all the shit that we caused. So it's like, it's nice that they're both like very like obviously supportive of each other doing those things. But yeah.
And they have their 2 separate meetings, and then the wives and the husbands go out together, having like each release their steam, and they save a lot of marriages and a lot of lives.
Yeah.
It's like in real life, it's an optimistic story. Alcoholics Anonymous still going strong today, as is Al-Anon, which is sometimes called Alateen, it looks like. The actual organization nowadays. Which doesn't actually found Al-Anon until 1951, which is 16 years after the founding of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
But like the concept of it already exists.
Yeah. And like the movie goes through like, because as Barry Pepper's like writing down like his book, Alcoholics Anonymous, he's writing down the classic 12-step program. Yes. I guess the long pause that I have is like, have you like read into 12-step and like all the steps and stuff that go into it?
Yes.
What are your views?
Oh, like believing in a higher power.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the description of it that they've
it's a higher power doesn't mean
like,
God.
It doesn't mean God. You just have to believe in like that there is something that is going to keep judgment on you for this. And that can even be like just the concept of like just the idea of it.
Yeah.
An idea is greater than you.
Yeah. The 12-step program, like I've always had like my kind of own like personal thoughts and opinions that sometimes it does, especially like the original 12-step is very religious.
Yes.
Because like, step 5 is like you admit to God, the Christian God, of your exact nature of your wrongdoings and all those things. And there's a bunch of other steps in there as 12. And I definitely, I think there's been multiple different variations of the 12-step that broaden it to be more higher power oriented. So rather than like, Christianity or whatever, like, and even if you're secular, that's why like I just looked up like the SMART recovery step, which is the secular alternative to AA and other 12-step groups. It's I just looked this up. It's like, whereas 12 steps says, you embrace a higher power, SMART recovery views substance abuse as a dysfunctional habit that people can have personal control over and integrates CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and other evidence-based approaches to those behavior changes, which I kind of like. I like that idea. CBT therapy, I think, is a great way for that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, both organizations have different approaches, and they both saved a lot of lives.
Yeah, like I'll say something that I'll say. Like I recently quit vaping nicotine, which is nowhere near as destructive as alcohol. Thank you.
I'm gonna hit the button.
Yeah, thank you.
I pressed it this time.
You pressed it.
Yeah. Okay. Now he's hyping himself up. All right. Let's.
Yeah. Nowhere near as nicotine is nowhere near as like chaotic and destructive as alcohol.
Yeah.
Like get that straight. I will say like especially like having to think about I've it's only been like 3 months, so times.
We're so proud of you.
Well,
Travolting is proud of you.
There's a lot of time that I could fall off the nicotine wagon. We should say. But CBT has been a real huge helpful tool in making sure I don't like go back into relapse and all that stuff. Because we work in the film industry that has a lot of smokers, a lot of vapors, a lot of cigarettes, and so I'm surrounded by that all the time. It's just like I feel like when people ask like, what do you mean you use CBT to help you from your addictions? I say it's like, well, when you get that urge. And there's a shortcut fuse that goes from the urge to your body function. So like you get the urge and you don't even think about pulling out your vape and hitting it. You just pull out your vape and hit it. It's cutting that off right before it like becomes like a bodily reaction to where it's a mental reaction where you're like, wait, okay, that's my body's way of saying like I want to take a hit. I'm going to make the mental decision, yes or no, if I want to take the hit, rather than just let my body make that decision for me. That so far it's been working, but we'll see.
We cannot thank Bill Wilson for that.
We cannot.
But perhaps some of the ideas he espoused will eventually made their way into that conversation.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about CBT, addiction therapy, and all that stuff. We're here to talk about.
But we're
this
still
movie.
very proud of you.
I appreciate that. Anyway,
Final thing I want to say about Al-Anon itself is the bottom of its Wikipedia page. In the Hulu show The Bear, the protagonist Carmi Brazzado attends Al-Anon in response to his brother's painkiller addiction.
yeah,
I want to just read that out.
yeah,
So if anyone's seen The Bear, you can thank When Love Is Not Enough for that organization existing in that episode.
yeah.
I think that, I mean, that's ultimately the movie, right? We kind of we hit the plot. I think.
Yeah, they lose their home, but then they're put up in a townhouse by other people.
Yes.
I think the movie it is very clear in saying like they don't ever really work again.
Yeah.
They kind of devote their lives to this
organization and helping people. And as a thanks, they kind of get put up and taken care of by the people they help.
Yeah. So and that's sort of like the cap off of the movie is that they're living in a townhome provided by friends and family, and they support each other and help build Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon for the remainder of their lives.
And that's that.
That's that. Yeah. The movie ends on that note, and it's like you said it, 5 out of 10. Just kind of like, okay, cool. Winona and Barry Pepper, I will say, have some really good performance bits in this movie. Yeah, I think Winona's nomination in the SAG Awards is well earned, well deserved.
Yeah. Good for her getting her little SAG nomination award. I mean, we didn't even mention where this fits into the chronology. Obviously, you guys just witnessed us coming from another dimension in the Star Trek episode.
Oh my God! Wow.
But yes, that was a crazy day for Stuart and I.
It was. We went through the multiverse.
Yeah, the multiverse of madness. Captain Nero. It was a crazy thing. But this is just her rebuild period, and I think kind of the triple punch of Star Trek, When Love Is Not Enough, and Black Swan.
Private Lives of Pippa Lee.
Probably was a little earlier. I wouldn't count it in this exact narrative.
I know, but we talked about how I think that movie, at least in the quality of movies that she is participating in.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that alone, it's a real movie.
It's a real movie.
It's a real movie. Prior we're talking about The Last Word, The Informers, and Sex and Death 101, which we've also agreed are real movies.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's at least now getting in real. Yeah, real.
Pippa Lee's a real movie. Stay Cool is not.
Stay Cool is not.
But then Star Trek being in a big blockbuster again, even though she's cast in a big role and then all of her scenes get cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
More or less. When Love Is Not Enough getting her a SAG nomination, even if it's for a TV thing, that's still a SAG nomination.
And then a year later, she's in Black Swan.
Yeah. A big Oscar play. She doesn't get a nomination out of it, but that's a notable movie for her to be in.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like this triple punch kind of brings her back into movies.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
It is cool.
It's nice that we're finally out of. I shouldn't say we're not going to have bad movies again, but we are out of the era of having to talk about Stay Cool and The Informers and The Last Word and Sex and Death 101.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, after we go through Black Swan, we kind of hit another, not a huge slump. She gets in Frankenweenie, which is okay. Homefront. She does a few other things. Yeah. I think it's when she gets cast in Stranger Things, which we'll talk about later, I think that's the big marker of her career.
Yeah, Stranger Things is the capstone project of the comeback.
Season 1 of that was 2016. It's 2024.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
They're still filming season 5.
Still filming season 5. It's been 8 years.
I kind of feel when you talk about comebacks, there's always a capstone film to it.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback starts with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and the Shaggy Dog.
Yeah.
But Iron Man is his capstone.
Yeah.
That's the welcome back.
Yeah.
I think for Winona, this is the beginning of it, and then Stranger Things is the welcome back movie.
Yeah. Stranger Things is the welcome back movie. Frasier's was.
I mean, I think it's the whale, right?
Well, I don't know.
Actually, no. I think because it's hard because he wins the Oscar for the whale.
What do you think? No Sudden Move?
No, I think No Sudden Move and the Whale are kind of his comeback, and then maybe this movie that's coming out, Rental Family,
will be his welcome back.
That he had a lot of involvement in.
Yeah.
The making of.
God, I hope it's fucking good.
I hope it's good.
Oh, I hope it's so good.
Is his capstone.
I just want him to be in great movies again.
Yeah. I mean, we have Brothers coming out in a few months. Hopefully that's good.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think that's all we got to say.
I think that's all we can really say about this movie.
A pleasant enough watch. Hallmark movie, perfect. Like turn it on halfway through. You're like, yeah, this is nice. And then you fall asleep in the chair and you wake up for the end. And you're like, oh, this is cozy. And you're in your little your recliner. Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
I will say, like, I had a hard time paying attention to like the second act of this movie.
Yeah,
it does drag a little bit.
But the thing is, like, if you stop paying attention for like 20 minutes, you come back in, you know exactly where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh, this is where we're picking up.
Yeah, right.
You get it.
Yeah.
When Love's Not Enough, the Lois Wilson story.
Oh shit! Sorry.
It airs on Hallmark. I do quickly want to say it airs April 25th on 2010 on CBS. Seen by 7.29 million viewers. It is outperformed by Celebrity Apprentice.
Oh my god!
The Donald is beating this movie tragically.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, fuck that guy. That's all I'm gonna say. It gets some like mid-range reviews, but Winona gets that nomination, which is nice. And then that's that. And
That's that.
Next week, Black Swan.
Black Swan.
Yeah, we could talk about Black Swan. Natalie Portman. Our second Darren Aronofsky movie.
Yes.
After The Whale.
Yes. Have you seen Black Swan?
I've not
before?
seen Black Swan.
Oh, it's gonna be your first Black Swan.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I've seen it before.
I'm looking forward to it.
And join us with our very own special guest.
Yeah, we'll be joined by Angelica Rosa, who was
honestly
on this episode very briefly.
Very briefly, yeah.
But yeah, she'll be back next week for Black Swan. It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll talk to you then. In the meantime, stay frosty. Oh, I got to say all this stuff. Special thanks to, like, rate, review, subscribe, whatever platform you're on. You know what you're on. You know we're on Spotify. You know we're on Apple Podcasts. You know we're on Google Podcasts. Actually, we're not on Google Podcasts because it doesn't exist anymore.
Google Podcasts does not exist anymore.
Yeah,
it's now YouTube Music.
Yeah, so now we're not on Google Podcasts. We are on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and some weird ass fucking websites.
I think we're on like iHeartRadio.
Yeah, we're on
I think we're on Pandora.
You sent me some fake ass things that we're on.
Did you see the list?
I did see the list.
RSS has us on like Samsung Podcast.
Yeah, we're on like Samsung Podcasts. We're on Communist Public Radio.
Radio. We're on Australian Net Worth, like whatever the fuck that one's called. Like,
but at Trolting Pod on all the socials. TrolltingPodcast@gmail.com, HFW Sweeney on Twitter for me. Special thanks, as always, to Rebecca for our graphic design and Michael Van Bodegum Smith for the theme music that is taking you out. Have a great week, folks, and see you next time for Black Swan.
bye.